I was not always overweight, so fixated on the numbers, so scared of the scale moving up. Hello and welcome back on my channel. Thank you so much for joining me again for an update on my health. A little over a year ago on my vlogs, you followed me getting a gastric bypass. I'll get more into the reasons why I did it later on, but I had a couple of you reach out, ask how I am, and ask to get a little bit more information about how I'm living my life now. This week, just focus on what my life looks like 1 year after the bypass. Hi, you know that I had surgery and I have been vlogging. Decided to split it out from my reading part of the channel. I just want to follow this journey and document this journey for myself and for others who might be considering doing this. First off, let me just introduce why I did it real quick. I have been overweight for a really long time. I was not always overweight. I wasn't quite an athletic kid, but after being pregnant and giving birth to my son, I think something in my metabolism changed. And I feel like I have been on diets and just change of lifestyle ever since. I tried everything that you can think of, it feels like. I went keto, I went vegan, I did paleo, I almost did raw, but not really. Close to it when I was vegan for a while. And even though I felt the benefits of a healthy diet and a healthy and active lifestyle, I never started losing weight. And so my ways of doing things got more and more drastic. During the last 2 years, I had 2 diets that I needed to stop because I was so malnutritioned. I was getting a headache and everything. And I developed really, really bad eating habits. I had some eating habits and some thought processes that you would usually find in people who have an eating disorder and are really thin, because I was not only counting calories, I was so fixated on the numbers, so scared of the scale moving up. I made a difference between things having 2 or 3 more calories, and I got so fixated on it that I had a light bulb moment in a restaurant. For my work, I travel a lot, so I go to a lot of restaurants, and I do love eating, so I do enjoy food, but it was always pressure in my mind. It was always a battle in my mind. And I oftentimes, when I'm sitting in a restaurant, just by reading the menu, I'm trying to calculate what's in it and what will the caloric value be. And I just had this light bulb moment in one restaurant where I was really thinking about, okay, on this menu, the only thing that I can eat is a chili, because everything else is pretty much loaded with carbs, and I cannot allow myself to have carbs anymore that day. And I was contemplating what the bean to meat ratio was, because this ratio would have been critical to if I can eat it or not, because I needed protein, yes, but the beans also have carbs in them, and I just couldn't have that. And my thought process is unhealthy. I know that. But it's not unhealthy in a way that I binge eat and sit in front of my fridge and eat everything, as you would think from the size I am. It's more in the other way around. And during the last year, I started developing sicknesses that come along with being obese. And I started to understand that even though I do not know what else to do, if I do not stop this, it will not be long before I will not be able to get up. I started 2 years ago. It was nothing for me to just hike for 20 kilometers. And this year, walking for 5 minutes started being painful, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was getting slower and slower. So my health was just getting worse. But I had already tried everything. And yes, I have not always been eating perfect. I have not been eating perfect for 15 years, but I have been eating very strictly and very perfectly on the diet plan for a couple of months. And if the scale then didn't move at all after like 3 months living on a 1200 calorie diet, a vegan diet, whole food, plant-based, no fats, no salt, the scale doesn't move. Even like
I've been working out the whole time as well, I would get into these frustration situations where I would then allow myself to eat the stuff that I shouldn't be eating. So I would have a cake, not a whole cake, like a piece of cake. I would have some ice cream. I would have all the things that I love, but I was denying myself. And so it was getting to be a battle between denying myself and then allowing myself everything out of frustration, and then having the guilt trip in my mind. That takes a toll on your mind. And I always thought of gastric surgeries, of stomach reductions and stomach bend and everything as a very easy way out. I thought of it as giving up when you're not strong enough to have enough willpower to do it on your own. And so I never considered it because I thought I'm strong enough to do it myself and I have the willpower to restrict myself. And I was getting to points where feeling hunger was a feeling of success, and I was punishing myself through that kind of pain. Well, yeah, and this year, as I said, I was starting to develop some illnesses that come with obesity, and one of them was that I'm in a pre-stage for diabetes, and I realized that sleeping was getting harder. I think within the next couple of months I will probably have it's called sleep apnea, well, when you stop breathing for a few times during your sleep. Luckily I didn't have it yet, but I was like this short before having it, and walking was getting painful, so my workout regime was getting less and less and less, and I was just spiraling. So my doctor, who's a specialist in nutrition, but obviously as a general practitioner doesn't have the time to sit down with me for an hour, she referred me to a nutritionist to just go through it. I feel like we have done everything else. So I was getting so sick of all those people who have gone through like 2 diets in their life and feel like telling me what I should be doing because they think they know better, because they see me as bigger, so obviously less knowledgeable about nutrition and dieting and what works and what doesn't work. So I oftentimes was getting into discussions with people, or people telling me things like, oh, you should be doing this, oh, you should be checking your thyroid, and that's probably it. And for me that worked wonders. You really should be getting your thyroid checked out. But I already did that, and I have been on a thyroid medication for years now, even though I don't necessarily would need it. I have a low thyroid, but it's not underperforming when you need to give medication, but it's low. My doctor and I were trying to get it into a higher performing one. I'm taking thyroid medication seriously for weight loss, pretty much, and already regulated with my doctor. We tried everything, and I was really getting sick of all these half-ass isn't the right word, of these advices that I just felt like were very condescending oftentimes as well, and with the frustration of me trying everything and not being successful, and seeing other people try and being really successful, really, really frustrating. But I know everybody has their struggle, and I know that they are struggling just as much. It's just always different looking from the outside. Anyways, my doctor did refer me to a nutritionist as a last resort, and this nutritionist looked at my eating log that I brought her, like a 6-week eating log. She can teach me, but she wanted to try something, changed a little bit about my macros that I was taking, and told me to just go with that change, and then we'll see where that takes us. I followed that for another 6 weeks, and I did not lose a single pound. I feel like the number 1200 will always be engraved in my mind, that this is the magic number that I'm allowed to eat, even though my doctor at one point said we need to go lower to see if you're losing weight. And yes, I started losing weight when I would go as low as 600-700 calories intake, but I just couldn't maintain that. I was getting too hungry, I was getting too weak, I was getting a headache, so it wasn't maintainable for me. My nutritionist pretty much told me the last idea that she has, the only thing that she can tell me to do, the only thing that is left to do would be surgery. And I was devastated. It took me, I think, 2 months to wrap my head around that surgery does not equal giving up. It does not equal an easy way out, but actually a really, really hard way out. It's a change of lifestyle that is a very big deal. It's a very big change. It will change so much in your life. You have to adjust your life so much. It's crazy. So it is not an easy way out. And once I started to understand that weight loss surgery does not just mean that I'm controlling the amount that I'm eating, because I could do that on my own. I can eat little on my own, but weight loss surgery helps with not being hungry anymore. anymore. It helps with changing your metabolism, changing your hormones. And more surgeons and professionals explain to me what the impact of surgery has on the body, that there's so many changes that are happening that are not really explained yet and not really researched to the fullest yet. But we know that it's not only limiting the amount of food that you're eating. Starting to understand that this could change my metabolism, that this could change my hormones, that this could change all those things in my body. My hunger was starting to get these like weak spots if I wouldn't be eating for 3 hours, and I was getting shaky and everything. That was really starting to annoy me, because when I was working and I was like in a training or something and I wouldn't get food for like every 3 hours, I was feeling like I was getting sick, and that was just not maintainable for me. Yeah, pretty much I started to realize that the weight loss surgery could change all that and not only limit my food intake. For the past year, I've been working on my head on not having to count calories as much anymore. My nutritionist pretty much told me that she doesn't allow me to count calories anymore, which is a really hard thing. And not weighing myself every day, it seems impossible, but I'm getting there slowly. My workout plan went to a psychologist and everything. So there's this whole plan that you have to go through before. In my country, the health insurance does approve the surgery, and it is advised not to do it without health insurance approval and not pay for it yourself, because otherwise every follow-up you will have to pay for yourself, and health insurance might push every unrelated thing suddenly onto this thing, and I might end up with bills that I cannot pay and I'm not prepared to pay for. That's my reality, and it's a hard way out, and it's the right decision to make, because it's the only decision that is left to take, to try, because I have tried everything that would be supported by a nutritionist or my doctor. I have not tried everything that is not recommended by them, meaning very, very drastic diets, meaning starving myself, etc. I'm not doing a 1 week crash diet, so that's not what it's about. I am quite energetic, and I think because I am 38 years old, I have gotten this surgery while I was still under 300 pounds, that my recovery and my energy levels, etc. are recovering a lot quicker than other people that I see having the surgery. I see a lot of people at least in Germany, who are 10, 20 years older or had at least 50 to 100 pounds more. I have seen a lot of them having complications or having a tougher time recovering. I feel like after a couple of days, I was able to walk around. After a week, I was really able to start walking again. Even though I'm still recovering, I feel like my recovery is quite quick. I can only recommend, and everybody in the group that I met also said, I wish I would have done it sooner. If you're struggling with weight issues, and if anything from my story resonates with you, even if you're at the beginning of the journey, or if you haven't done it like for 15 years like I did, but only for 5, maybe you want to think about. And if anybody wants to talk about their journey, etc. to me, please shoot me an email, a ping through some of the social media that I'm listing below. I'm always happy to talk about it now that I am in my headspace where I'm happy to talk about it. I have a few days where I feel a little bit weak when I haven't eaten. I think today's the first day when I feel like I can identify what hunger is. I don't feel hungry anymore, but I feel like there's something moving in my stomach. That sounds so gross. Like there's air moving in my stomach. It's like growling, but I don't feel hungry. But I think that this is the sign that when I feel something in my stomach, that I need food, that it's empty and needs food. I can't eat a lot, but I can eat several times, so I'm getting used to 3 to 4 meals a day. I already eat solid food, even though a lot of people would recommend 3 to 4 weeks of fluid or MASH diet. I did not feel full on a liquid diet, and I felt like I can just drink and drink and drink and drink without my stomach telling me it's full. And this little booklet that I got in hospital told me if the problem is that I can eat a lot without being full, that I might be chewing too much, that it's getting too liquid, I don't have protein with it, or I drank some liquids with my food. And since the last 2 weren't the case, I started eating more solid food, and then I started feeling full. I still don't eat everything. I'm still shying away from quite a few carby things. I'm eating potatoes, but I have not eaten rice or pasta, and I love pasta so much. I love ramen. Ramen is one of my favorite foods, and it sucks that I can't eat it. I'm shying away from hot food. I love kimchi, and again, shying away from that still. But I have been going out with friends for the first time yesterday and the day before, and I have eaten a little bit meat for the first time, and I had no issues with the meat. I feel very, very confident and lucky with eating meat, which is, even though I did like my vegan diet and I would love to stay on it, I feel like my body is now asking for meat. I feel like I'm getting stronger. I started walking again last week. I feel like I can walk for longer than 5 minutes again. Today I felt like walking for half an hour, walking for 45 minutes. I actually felt good. I didn't get any pain or anything. So the few pounds that I've already lost, I think we're already triggering that. Coming to that update, in the first week I have lost 14 pounds, which is quite a lot. In the second week I haven't lost anything, and that scared me. I was really getting scared that, again, my body was getting used to the new diet and the weight loss stopped, and that the 14 pounds is all that I'm gonna get. Was really scared and panicking for a few days. Now it's slowly going down again. I actually gained, I think, 2-3 pounds in the second week. I lost them again, and now I have, in the half week, I have lost half a pound. So I'm just hopeful that now that the hormones are starting to balance out, that I'm getting on the weight loss path again as well. I have a meeting with my gym in 2 days to create a new fitness regime, a new routine to build up strength so I won't lose muscle. I'm hoping that the weight loss journey continues. Today I am starting on my supplement journey. I chose this brand for now. They seemed really good, and these are calcium chewables that actually taste really good. And because they're wrapped like candy, I think I can take them on a plane. I'm quite conscious that I need something that I can take on a plane on business trip. I also got this little pill case from Lug, which I love, but sadly the supplements that I need to take don't really fit in here. So I can put in 1 without a problem, but I would need to put in 3, which might actually still go, but then also I would need to put in 2 multivitamins, which I can't do anymore. So 3 is the maximum. So if you know something that is a little bit bigger and also looks nice or comes with a nice bag, please let me know, because right now this is the best I can do and it doesn't fit everything that I need. And I really need something that helps me control that I have taken everything that I need to take. I think that is it for now. I'm in the middle of the 3rd week, really hoping that I'm losing more weight, looking forward to working out again, really looking forward to feeling better while working out and being able to do all the things that I wasn't able to do. Now, one of the consequences you have from the surgery is that you cannot take any non-steroidal, I don't know how it's pronounced correctly, painkillers. So no aspirin, no ibuprofen. Most of the painkillers and pretty much all of the painkillers that are anti-inflammatory belong to that group. Now you can't take them anymore because they have a risk of creating, I think, ulcers in your stomach. They can create something bad in your stomach. And usually when you have a normal stomach, you have enough stomach acids to fight whatever is coming through the medication. But my tiny stomach and the tiny little bit of acids that are inside are not able to fight them anymore. I can't take these anti-inflammatory things anymore. So now when I go with a fever to my doctor or something, in the past she would recommend just to take a few ibuprofen, and usually that helps before going and having to take an antibiotic. But I have to skip that phase, and so it's much more likely that I will go from shit, I have to sit this out, and probably it takes me a couple of weeks to get rid of it, where with an ibuprofen this could be gone in 2 days, until okay, I need to go and take antibiotic. I'm really sad that I don't have this middle solution anymore, but that's just a small price to pay in my mind for the new body, for the new feeling, and the mental health that is increasing. But that is the reason why in my head I was like, okay, something's wrong with me. I had so many bad days, end of November, December. That's around the time when I also started to stop doing my vlogs. I had more and more bad days where I just felt off and sick and I couldn't move much.
it didn't feel mental, it felt all physical, like feeling, you know, when you have a flu and you feel like everything's a dream, or you feel a little bit dizzy when you get up. That's kind of how I was feeling. And it stretched towards several, like until a couple of days ago, I started feeling better. I actually fainted at the doctor's office when I got my first hyaluronic shot, and I feel like it's all this big combination of something is wrong. I am getting my blood work done on Tuesday. I have my 1-year checkup on Tuesday, and I hope to see if we uncover any additional information on why I might have been feeling so bad. But I'm getting better, so that's good. I also have been dealing with hair loss. My hair, I mean, it might not look this way right now, but my hair has gotten so thin. In the past, I had a lot of hair, and I could sit here and look like this to the front with a couple of even more curls and stuff, and still have the full at the back. But right now, the back is bare. I don't luckily have any like big holds or anything, so it doesn't look like it's that reduced. And honestly, the COVID no hair salon situation is kind of helping it with it growing out, that it is not as predominantly visible. And I think that just looking into the viewfinder, I don't think that you can see, due to my curls, how much lighter it is. But when you compare my hair and how many bits of hairs you can take up to curl and everything, and just the ponytail overall, if you compare it to a year ago, you can see a drastic difference in how much hair I had. So I hope that that comes back. It's a very common side effect, but I just hope that comes back. Becoming a little bit more mindful in a very different way about what I'm eating is really interesting, because I'm lucky that there's no food type that I categorically cannot eat anymore. There's quite a few people who are on this journey who, after the surgery, suddenly they loved fish before, now suddenly they can't eat fish anymore. They can't eat chicken anymore. There's actually quite a lot of people that I know that can't eat chicken anymore. Or chocolate. I know one person who can't eat chocolate anymore. I don't have a specific food type that I cannot eat anymore. So I'm very lucky when it comes to that. On the other hand, that also means that I cannot say this is going to happen if I eat this. Because just because I don't have a specific food type that I can't eat anymore doesn't mean that I can eat everything. Because sometimes I get the so-called dumping syndrome, which means after eating something, my body wants to get rid of it again. And there's different ways how the body gets rid of it, either by getting it out this way, getting it out right away this way. I know, totally gross, but that's what's happening within half an hour of eating it. You either get the shitters or you get the pukers. And sometimes it also just means I'm crashing. And that's what I just call it, I'm crashing. And I had that during a call. I ate a piece of chocolate and I felt like, oh shit, I'm crashing. And that literally means I need to lie down. I physically don't have a lot of time to lie down because my body just shuts down, and then I sleep for half an hour and then I'm good. Not knowing what food will start this, will do this, is highly annoying. I usually have this with anything that has artificial fats or oils. So usually not when I eat an avocado or nuts, but it could happen if I eat something that was fried in fat, or a salad dressing that had oils. It happens, or it can happen when something includes sugar. Any type of sugar, that means honey, agave, whatever you think replaces sugar in a good way, it's still a sugar and it still can do this. It also can happen with carbs. I don't have it often with rice or potatoes, but I also only eat a very certain amount of rice or potatoes, and then I feel the feeling of, okay, if I would eat more, I can't anymore. Usually with carbs, it's just I eat 2 bites and I know I can't have more of it. Raw veggies and meat, any type of meat. What I can, for some weird reason, always eat is cheese. I especially love cheese with mustard and chips. So not like French fries, but the crispy chips. I have days sometimes where I don't have appetite because I just feel this nauseated day and I'm having a hard time to work up an appetite to actually feed myself and get nutrition into my body, get good nutrition in my body. Those are the days when I usually force myself to have meal replacement shakes. So not protein shakes. I could either lie on the couch and be like, oh, I can't eat anything, I feel sick, I feel so nauseated, or I can have a shake. Is a shake a permanent solution that I should be drinking? No, heck no. I should be eating solid foods to experience the food, to enjoy the food, to celebrate the food and celebrate the process of eating food. But on some days when I'm too nauseated because of the surgery, I don't feel physical hunger. So it could happen theoretically that I go a whole day without eating, but I know that will make me dizzy. I know that it's not good for me, that I need nutrition. And on these days, I will force myself to eat by having a meal replacement shake. I always have chips in my house now. I don't eat much. I might maybe eat one hand this and that's it. But having a food that I know that I can eat, that doesn't nauseate me, that I'm not going to throw up, that is not going to cause any form of dumping, that I can chew even though I'm nauseated, that will actually stop the nauseous effect, helps getting back into the I'm chewing, I'm eating, and I feel good about eating. I actually eat a lot of chips. Well, a lot means maybe a bag a week. Oh, and I can always eat ice cream for some reason, even though it's sugar. Maybe it's because it's very liquid and when it melts, it becomes more of a shake and my stomach doesn't have to work as much. I don't know. That's just how it is. Before the surgery, it was just about saturating my hunger. Now it's a relearning. Right now, my journey is all about unlearning the bad behaviors. That's stuff that I now force myself to reintroduce to my diet. I force myself to eat a piece of chocolate, a piece of licorice, a cookie, and just enjoy the food and not think about consequences, about added calories. And I'm getting there. I couldn't have eaten this many chips that I'm eating right now. The week before the surgery, I was on an all fluid protein-based diet. So I pretty much only drank protein drinks because that was the easiest. The all liquid diet is to get used to not eating solid foods, which you need to do for a while after the surgery while the stomach is healing. And the all protein diet is because the protein heavy intake shrinks your liver or hardens your liver, and they have better access to work on your stomach. To me, it didn't make sense to just put any shit in the blender, which is literally something that people advise you to do. Just take your favorite food, like go to McDonald's and put it in the blender and you're good. Like, that's not the point of this. The point of this is to not eat McDonald's, but okay. Because I didn't mind the taste of protein shakes and I was already restricting myself so much that I didn't have a problem with this. I was on protein shake before the surgery at the point when it said, okay, the date for the surgery is set and I didn't need to go shopping for food. I didn't have to make a meal plan and being tempted with stuff that I like, because one thing that I never stopped is enjoying food that's not good for you. I love the taste of a good cheesecake. You can always get me with a cheesecake or caramel. I love a good burger. I love all the unhealthy shit. I didn't allow myself to eat it, but that doesn't mean that I didn't love it. Walking through a supermarket and going shopping, I never knew that it was hard to do. But the week before the surgery was approved and I was on the all liquid diet, I was going shopping so my son could do his weekly shopping, and I was standing in the supermarket and I suddenly felt so free. I felt free because there's no temptation. I didn't feel any temptation at all. I knew that I didn't have to bother with the temptation at all. I knew that I didn't have to make the choice, am I going to eat this or that? My relationship with food was disturbed and unhealthy and wrong and harmful and traumatic and everything. At that point, when I was standing in the supermarket, I didn't feel the need to fight inside me anymore. I felt like next week I'm going to have the surgery and then it's a new me. Let's see what the whole food situation will say then. But at that time, nothing tempted me. And that felt so freeing that I was standing in the middle of the supermarket and just started crying. Free of the burden to have to choose one over the other. Free of the burden to calculate what I put into the basket. The burden to make sure that I have enough healthy snacks if I feel hungry and the food that I made didn't feel the saturation. Because sometimes with a salad, I still felt hungry. It was the most beautiful feeling in the world. And after the surgery, I just took the advice of my nutritionist. I just listened to what I want right now. I had some fries at McDonald's a couple of weeks after the surgery and I puked them right up. My body couldn't handle them. I still can't handle fries that are from like a cheap like a McDonald's or a Burger King. Who needs that anyways? I can eat fries that I make at home without cooking them in oil. That's the best anyways. I don't feel deprived of anything. I don't feel tempted by anything. If I feel like eating chocolate, I'm going to eat one piece of chocolate, and I don't feel the need for a second piece. For having a piece of chocolate wouldn't have been enough. I would probably be in a binge eating week where I was eating my frustration about not losing weight, and I would eat a whole package of chocolate because once I opened it, I couldn't stop. I wouldn't eat chocolate for weeks when I was disciplining myself and depriving myself, but then in the binge eating week, how I call them, and I was just frustrated and had given up, I would eat a whole cake in a day. If I started with a cake, I couldn't stop. I mean, obviously I was full after a piece, but I just had it next to me and I just ate the piece as soon as I could. And I mean, no wonder why I got this big, right? But honestly, I think if any of my weight loss attempts would have worked, I wouldn't have gotten into the binge eating weeks. The binge eating weeks were bad, like really bad. And now I just eat what I want. I don't know if you have ever had this sensation of eating something and the back of your, like the gum, etc., and it all gives you a signal of, I'm done. I don't want to eat any more of this. I don't feel joy if I eat more of this, so I'm done. Usually people have that when they're hungry and they're eating something that they don't necessarily like. And I have that with everything now. I eat a piece of chocolate and then I'm like, that was nice, but I'm done. I don't want a second one. And I just don't want one. And so I just learned to enjoy, to treasure eating one piece, to just fully enjoy this. And that's it. So please let me know if you have any further questions around the weight loss journey, the gastric bypass. I'm happy to answer more questions in the comments, but I'm depending on the type of questions that are coming in. And if there's a few questions around the topic, I'm happy to do a Q&A, whatever works, whatever is needed to answer your questions. I love to be able to speak about this openly, to be in a place with my mental health that I can openly speak about my experience. A year ago, I could not. But now I can, and I'm happy to help other people educate or understand more. It doesn't matter if you yourself are going through this, if you're considering the surgery yourself, or if it's just something that you want to know more about. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer anything. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. I know I mostly don't do the weight loss stuff, but I'm happy to do more if there's a lot of people asking for it. But please subscribe to my channel nonetheless to support me. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up to show me some love. I really do appreciate every single like. I appreciate every single comment. It makes my day to see people engaging with this information, with this story. So please let me know that you've been here and that you watched it. And I hope to see you again on my channel real soon. Until then, bye! A little bit shaky, a little bit nauseous, a little bit weak. I made a mistake. I look pregnant right now.